Hello friends of TvAgro. Today we are from the La Cumbre project. I am Mary Lopez and we want to talk to you about chickens. An animal that today you are seeing that we are all using sometimes for the production of our own food such as eggs or to sell them, and there is a lot of talk about organic eggs. A lot of talk about natural eggs and a lot of talk about field eggs. Well, I project the summit for those who are followers of TvAgro. They know that we are a project that is focused on livestock. But it is sustainable livestock. So that we could start with this issue of sustainable livestock. Because we had to incorporate some little animals that did their work in this ecosystem so that this sustainability occurs. One of those little animals are chickens, and they are the ones we are going to talk about today. When we start choosing this animal, basically it is because this little animal has the ability to oxygenate the earth through its pecking and looking for worms and their food in the meadows, because they are oxygenating those paddocks that have been destined to generate food for the animals. Something like a plow, but natural, basic as it was done before. When we incorporated this animal, we chose it as a dual purpose. Let's say that they do this job of oxygenating but also produce what they give us, which are the eggs. We chose the ISA brown breed. Why did we choose the ISA brown breed? It is the typical laying hen. It was one of the attributes. Because they are easier to care for, and I was new to animals. These hens arrived at our farm when they were 16 weeks old. I am going to tell you a little about what it has been like to have them for those who are suddenly thinking of having their hens, of opening up that field to start selling eggs. How this animal that is something like what I needed when I wanted to put the hens, but there was not as much that they told you in a simple and practical way so that you start at once. Here behind me is the house that I have for them. As you can see, it is a very traditional house. I made it with materials that were recycled on the farm to generate a natural environment for them, an environment that is very much theirs. Very of the animal, not to make them as industrialized or with so much cement around them, but to make it very natural. They have a pen that is divided according to what they are grazing. So they are laying hens, but they are hens that are constantly grazing. They only enter their house at night, when it is already very cold, and suddenly, in case a rodent appears on the farm that is going to attack them. Well, I put them in the house, and now we are going to get to know the house. We are going to take some pictures. It is very simple. Again, it is very handmade. It has its feeding troughs where I make water and where I supply ground corn, which is their diet, and they have their sleeping places. I personally did not know that they sleep on sticks, so you have to have many thin strips of stick so they can hold on and sleep there. It is the way the animal sleeps in a natural way. This process of taking eggs in an industrialized way leads them to live in tiny houses, and they cannot move to one side or the other so that they lay and lay eggs. We hear they live loose. They make their own bathrooms that we also go after to show the shots where she bathes. This animal is living in its normal natural conditions. Let and #39 say that we have intervened in this process in particular things such as supplying ground corn. What our hens eat? Our hens eat a portion of ground corn in the morning and another portion in the afternoon, and the rest of the day they are free grazing where they get their own food from the land. When they ask me if I have organic eggs, well, I really don't have organic eggs. I have natural eggs. Why I do not have organic eggs? because the intervention of giving corn and the intervention of my pastures makes it not organic. What I mean by intervention in the pastures, these pastures are just starting 3 years ago in a process of oxygenation because they were fertilized chemically. Now the steps are going to a ratio of 80 to 20 where they are 80% fertilized organically and are 20% fertilized with chemicals. So let's say that for grass to come out and for there to be food for the animals that share with them, there must be some chemicals. I have natural eggs because I preserve her natural life. She bathes in the soil, she lives in her natural habitat and she eats whatever she gets, so she has already reached production. Their production is 1 egg per day. The egg is generated as the other issue of marketing, that many times you find, or it happened to me, that I decided to start selling eggs and then they said to me, "But your eggs are, they are A," and I found a categorization from A, B, AAA, AA, and the truth is that when I started to get to know the animal I realized that this is very fatal for them. For you to have a jumbo egg you need to demand a lot from one of these animals. They talk about the egg cup, which is where they produce the egg, and when you have the animal locked up without burning energy, filling it with hormones, the egg becomes very big and the egg cup breaks down at the moment of laying it. They lay a jumbo egg and then they are mistreated. So let's say that we do not agree with this type of commercialization in La Cumbra project because we are a sustainable farm. We simply produce natural hen eggs and that's it. These natural eggs have different sizes, some are bigger, some are heavier than others. And many times the weight is given by the shell but not by the product that comes inside. Sometimes the product that comes inside is the same as the one that comes in UNOB, which is the highest categorization than the one that comes in a AAA. So let's not get confused because the shell also plays a big role in this role of how much the egg weighs. How to differentiate that these hens are fed in a different way, that they give the egg that natural plus? Well, the shell is the first factor in which you can identify where this egg comes from. The shell when you have a farm animal is one hard, strong shell, which is difficult to break. Then comes the product that is already inside, which is the egg, and the yolk is yellow in color, almost turning orange, which gives it that color. The fact that I feed them with corn and then the white, it's a white that when you make, for example, the fried egg is much thicker. It is much thicker than that of an egg that you buy all of a sudden, and they come from chickens that are kept in little houses and not they let them move. That part of the white comes out as less dense. This in terms of egg production. In terms of them as an animal, if they realize they are a super sociable animal, they depend on how you raise them. They are easy to hold. You have to learn to hold them because they flap their wings, but they are very docile animals. They are animals that also manage a fairly good body condition. They are heavy, they are not skinny. They are not as languid or langarudas would say, but rather they have a lot of weight and burn energy. Lot of energy, but the very fact of being able to feed on their natural products from the land makes them have a very favorable body condition. Very favorable for the development of all their activities because they are chickens that run. They are chickens that climb. They are chickens that generate associativity. For people who are more involved in the world of chickens, they have many characteristics as an animal. Yes, you start reading them. I have had the opportunity to read a little more about them, and they have, for example, a factor or a point in them, and that is that there are 50 hens, and if I wanted to put one more they would not accept it. They would not accept it to allow. They have a very Machiavellian way of living, so they are this group and they do not allow anyone else to join the group. If I were to bring a hen different from the group here, then obviously it would suffer very complicated conditions. If I were to put a different hen from the group here, it would obviously suffer very complicated conditions. If I were to bring in a different hen from the group here, it would obviously suffer very complicated conditions. It is important to highlight that they are animals that favor, as I say, the land, oxygenating it through their pecking, and that they are the animal that in this farm closes that circle of ecosystem with its deposition or its excrement, which we take from here in the paddock of them or of the place where they are living, and we turn it into a bio-input for our meadows. So it is important that when they go to mount happy hens, as they call them now, or free hens, they suddenly educate themselves a little bit in knowing the breed that they are going to put, in giving them the natural conditions so that they can live with dignity, and that their product when taking it to the market suddenly does not let them bring it down with the issue of grams, but to educate themselves in this production and understand that the egg is valuable for as you are feeding your animal, because of how you are giving your animal living conditions. That is important, that is what is valuable about the product, because in the end that is what you are going to consume, that you are entering your body. For any type of consultation from people who suddenly want to know a little more about the chicken breed and expand on this, they can follow us on our social networks. We are at Proyecto Lacumber, and we can answer all those questions for those who want to start or who is already developing this type of activity.